It is November 9th, 2015, Monday at 6 a.m. And last night I was treasure hunting in this book, Mathematics 1001. Absolutely everything that matters in mathematics in 1001 bite-sized explanations. A fantastic gold mine to treasure hunt in the story of God for His mathematical glory. So we're going to crack this open here. And forgive me, my hands are a little bit cold from running around in the dark delivering papers this morning, but we're just going to preach on obvious threes, and I earmarked a whole ton from yesterday, and it's the story of God, and so it's going to be awesome. And it's going to be all over the place, because this is first time talking all this. And you can just, there's so many threes, it's ridiculous. So, a conjecture divides by 3. A theorem divides by 3. In fact, a theorem is 3 points higher than a problem. First you have a problem, then you form a conjecture, and then it becomes a theorem, and then you also have a hypothesis in there somewhere. Hypothesis to all those major terms divide by 3. Just like equation, just like math, okay? This is in no particular order. This is just all over the place, because this is first time discovery of all this, and we're just preaching as fast as we can. There's a very famous man named David Hilbert, whose name is so loaded. It begins with half love. It's just incredible, okay? How you find love in all this, and it's just ridiculous. He's got the 3 half-loves in the first, and the beginning and the end. BET, half-love. IR, half-love. DAV, half-love. 27 plus 27 plus 27. Then in the middle is 12 plus 12 is 33. Okay? Now you know why. And yes, name your children mathematically to the glory of a Triune God who is love. So David Hilbert, you can read about him. This is amazing. There's a whole book that I'm going to point out written on this. There's 7 of these millennium problems. Well, amazingly, by Divine Ordinance, only the 3rd one has been solved, the glory of the Trinity. It's called the Poincaré conjecture. Every word divides by 3. It adds perfectly to 210, which equals will you marry me? That is the only one of the 7 that has been solved, the famous 3. And the guy who solved it is screaming out 3. It's not even funny. And okay, onward. And then $1 million, of course, both words divided by 3. The Fields Medal equals 1, 2, 3. That's the very king one. That's the most famous prize in mathematics. This is huge. We solved the Nobel Prizes here on this gem. So Nobel Prizes, plural, divides by 3, both words. Add the word the. And there were 6 categories when it was originally instituted by Nobel in 1896, which year by Divine Ordinance divides by 3. And those 6 categories were literature, physics, chemistry, physiology, medicine, and peace. Well, by Divine Ordinance, those words all knit together to divide by 3. And I checked the value, and it's a triple of the 45th prime, which 45 is a triple of the 15th prime, which 15 is a triple of the 3rd prime. So it's king for 3. And the first 3 divide by 3. In fact, 4 of them divide by 3. And then medicine plus physiology knit together to divide by 3. This is confirmed by the fact that in 1968, which uses the same digits as the original founding year of 1896, therefore dividing by 3, they introduced the economics Nobel Prize. Well, economics divides by 3. So now you just add another one that divides by 3 to the 3 fest that was foreordained in the Nobel Prizes. There you go. And now we come to the Fields Medal, which is the equivalent, many would say, for mathematics. And that was established by a Canadian, my country, who is John Charles Fields. And that, in 3 parts, that divides by 3. In fact, it equals the famous God is sovereign, a 7-fold set of triple eights. And Charles in the center divides by 3, and John is together with Fields very nicely. In fact, I do believe Charles is 66, and then the John plus the S is another 66. And then that leads us with another, 36 points on top for the word field. 12 plus 9, 24 plus, 21 plus 50. Yes. There you go. So John plus S is 66, Charles is 66, Field is 36. Pretty awesome. Foreordained. And so he's the one who established the first Fields Medal. And the Fields Medal is 1, 2, 3. Add the word first, and that bumps it up to 195. So it's all 3s. Very, very cool. And when you look at the Fields Medal, there's a Latin inscription on it that divides by 3. Transire suum pectus mondic poturi. Right, and the last word is like screaming out 3s. In fact, it's like got just ridiculous. There's love, PTR, plus another 33. Love plus amen. Rise above oneself and grasp the world. Cool. Very cool. So the Fields Medal equals 1, 2, 3. Isn't that amazing? How like the most Prestigious award in mathematics adds to the most simple number of all time to glorify the Trinity, 123. That's how it works. And then find love in that, find the individual loves, and you'll be amazed. Now, just all over the place. So now there's a section on mathematics and technology. Of course, computer equals 111, but original accounting machines, you had the stepped reckoner. I never heard of that term. Well, it divides by 3 in 3 words. You also had the difference engine. Every word divides by 3. I'm like, okay. So we're digging up gems in the story of God that glorify the Trinity, who takes the glory for it all using numbers. So let's go to our next earmarked page and just continue this frenzy, because there's so much gold, I can't gather it all fast enough. Probability, very famous word in mathematics. I find it very funny how the words that speak of probability and coincidence are actually the most mathematically concise to glorify the Trinity. The word probability starts with love, de facto, ends in love, de facto, and at the beginning is 2 letters that divide by 3, 21. There's 5 letters that divide by 3. In fact, you get love from them, plus another 9 on top. It's like, there you go. The probability that God is sovereign is 100%. Okay, onwards we go. And the word coincidence, I believe, is just around the corner. Yeah, here it is. Coincidence is very similar. You got 27, half a love at the front, and 3 letters that divide by 3. 27, half a love in the back, and then in the center you got 27 plus 3. So it's like perfect cube of 3, plus perfect cube of 3, plus perfect cube of 3, plus 3. Starting with the letter C, which is 3, containing 3 C's, which is 3, 3, 3. 2 I's, which are 3 times 3, 6 letters that divide by 3, and the more you look, the more you see for the number 3. It's so embarrassing. So, coincidence? God is sovereign. That is the truth. Okay. So coincidence equals half the value of God is sovereign, 84. Double that, and you get the famous truth, God is sovereign. All right. So, I like the fact that fun words like that actually glorify the perfection of God. It's no coincidence, folks. Okay. Now, moving over to physics, they have a section on physics and how it relates to concepts like waves and stuff, so we're in wave land here now. So, important terms when it comes to waves. You have what is called, and music, you have what is called the fundamental frequency. Very fun, very obvious. Both words divide by 3, starting with F's, and in fact, FU, FR, all those letters divide by 3. It's also called the first harmonic. Well, first and harmonic both divide by 3. So this is what you call the fundamental, like, term for musical notes and sound waves. Fundamental frequency, first harmonic, 3s. And of course the word octave divides by 3 as well. Onward we go. My goodness. Okay, so I'm just, it's a frenzy. It's an absolute frenzy. There's so much to gather. This is so cool. Then you get into stories. Like, some of this is just terminology. Then you get into the stories. Now we get into the speed of light. Okay, so the speed of light divides by 3 when you say it and write it. Furthermore, it's abbreviated with the letter C, which equals 3. But the story of the speed of light and how man came to discover it. It all began with the moons of Io, the eclipses of Io, which is the nearest moon of Jupiter. Well, too obvious, because I know both divide by 3, adding to 24,888. The word eclipse equals Jehovah. Moon divides by 3, and then Jupiter equals 99 divides by 3. So the whole thing is just too obvious. And then when you add Io, 24,888, to Jupiter, 99, you get 1, 2, 3 perfectly. Okay, foreordained, folks. And who is the guy that made these discoveries, that initially led mankind to discover the speed of light, that light has a speed rather than being instantaneous? Well, his last name is Romer. You got to be kidding me. That equals Jehovah. Just like eclipse equals Jehovah. Okay? And the 3 18s equal love plus the O there. Okay? So, and then you're just scooping up gems here. So this is incredible. I highlighted this phrase. By observing Io. That's exactly how. So Romer, this is the 17th century, found evidence that light travels at a finite speed. How? By observing Io. Well, every word divides by 3, starting with by, which is 3 times 3 times 3. But miracle of miracles, that 3-word phrase adds perfectly to triple love, which equals the Holy Ghost, which equals truth speaker. So how is light, the speed of light, initially revealed to man? What was the first part of the observations? Oh, by observing Io. That adds to triple love times 3. You can inject the words the moon, which adds another 90 points. Okay, that'll bump you up to 252 divides by 3. Okay, which orbits Jupiter, 99, once every 42.5 hours for some time. And then you can read all about this, and he equals Jehovah. Perfect, okay. So, that's the beginning of the story. And then speed of light divides by 3 equals 126. Add the word the for more. Furthermore, we record the speed of light in a vacuum. Well, vacuum divides by 3. Very obvious. 3 letters that don't divide by 3 that knit together, and 3 letters that do divide by 3. And then in a vacuum, in 3 words divides by 3. So speed of light in a vacuum bumps you up to 2, 3, 1, pure threes, and of course. Now, what's really cool is if you write the letter for speed of light right next to the term speed of light, when you say the speed of light. So if you write C equals the speed of light, every letter that you've written adds perfectly, therefore, to triple love, which equals the Holy Ghost, which equals by observing Io, which equals university, okay, which equals truth speaker. So C equals the speed of light. That is the truth. The letter C is used to say the speed of light in equations. E equals mc squared. So C equals the speed of light adds perfectly to triple love by divine ordinance to the glory of the Trinity, the Triune God who is love. The Holy Ghost equals triple love. Okay. It's truth speaker. So there you can read for yourself. The eclipses of Io were the first solid evidence that light travels at a finite speed, and in subsequent experiments, of course, experiment divides by 3. Now, the exact value of the speed of light is a giant 3 fest of 3 digits arranged in 3s. I mean, come on. And as people study that number, they get so many more, beautiful 3 fests using the law of prime and all that stuff. Of course, the word vacuum is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And a meter is actually defined as that. 1, okay. This is really cool. So the term light is a little misleading because it is the speed of all electromagnetic radiation in a vacuum. And so when you say that phrase, it divides by 3. The speed of electromagnetic radiation, because by divine ordinance, the term magnetic radiation has the same offset to the number 3 as the word light does, plus 2. So wherever you have the word light, you can substitute the term electromagnetic radiation. The phrase will divide by 3 to the glory of the Trinity. So C is actually the speed of electromagnetic radiation in a vacuum. All that divides by 3, and I love the fact that the final word is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. It's like, what more can you ask for? Okay, composed of 2 teams that divide by 9, no less. You got 36 for the VAM and 45 for the CUU. Okay. So we just solved the speed of light to the glory of the Trinity. Very fun. And of course, when you write that famous equation, E equals mc squared, E plus m equals 18, the 2 C's are 3's, every letter divides by 3 in total. And Albert Einstein divides by 3. He's 153, the number of fishes Jesus ordained his disciples to catch, the 3rd time he appeared after his resurrection. Other terms, famous terms in this whole story. Now you've got the Michelson-Morley experiment. Well, I don't even know what that is yet, but I know what Michelson-Morley is. It divides by 3, just like experiment, so this whole title divides by 3. And so you can dig up on that one. See how this motivates knowledge in the minds of children? The year divides by 3, referencing Jesus. So pay attention to all this stuff. Okay, so now we come to gravity. This is really fun. Okay, let's finish off with mass-energy equivalence, famous Einsteinian theory. Well, E equals m, those 2 letters knit together to divide by 3 by divine ordinance 18. And then when you say energy equals mass, which is what this equation says, by divine ordinance, energy plus mass divides by 3 divides by 3 being 75. Energy equals mass equals the famous 201 of world history. It's one of my favorite numbers of world history. By divine ordinance, my entire life grew up around 201 Street, and to this day it's 2 blocks away from where I sit right now. And I can walk down it into central Langley daily. King number of world history. Full birth name of the first man on the moon, full birth name of Walt Disney, full birth name of the first man to fly faster than the speed of sound, Chuck Yeager, and the name of the plane he was flying, Glamorous Glennis, full birth name of Hans Zimmer, Britney Spears, Bill Gates, Heitor de Silva Costa, the designer of the famous Jesus Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and on and on and on. Okay, so another way of stating this is mass-energy equivalence. Well, by divine ordinance, the word equivalence divides by 3, just like the word equals. So equivalence equals 111. So when you say mass-energy equivalence, disturbingly, it just goes to screamingly high 3s. And then when you add the word the, it adds perfectly to north plus south plus east plus west, which equals the famous 270, perfect cube of 3 times 10. Okay, so the mass-energy equivalence, done. Solved. Foreordained. And of course, physics divides by 3, and physicists divides by 3. Okay, there are 3 members of the Godhead, plural. And of course, fusion, which is the mechanism by which the sun undergoes this reaction all the time to produce its power, is like the most gorgeous three-fest of all time. Enough said. Okay. All right. So that's huge. We solved mass energy equivalence, and E equals mc squared to the glory of the Trinity. Pretty simple. And then this equation here, I love that though. Energy equals mass. Isn't that cool? And then there's your E equals mc squared. So there's your 18 for the E plus m, and then C is another 3 points to make it, and then technically there's 2 C's to make it 24,888. Very good. Okay. Now, if you were to say it like this, E equals m times C times C. That whole statement divides by 3, because equals divides by 3, times divides by 3, and all the letters knit together, like I just mentioned. Okay. Of course, the word square is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, so the square of anything. Okay. So, moving on. Right. Okay. And by the way, the word energy equals Jesus, equals Messiah, who owns all energy. Okay. And the sun equals love. Okay. Poincaré group. This is screaming out love. This is so obvious. It starts with love, and then carre, or care, is half a love. So that's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And it was posited by Henry, whose name equals love, composed of 2 half-loves. Like, it's just embarrassing. Hen equals half-love, Ri equals half-love, 27, 27. Then Poin equals love, and then Car equals half-love. So it's half-love, half-love, love, half-love, which is love plus half-love, which is 135. 3 times 3 times 3 times the third prime. So now you're really interested in this story. And I encourage you to read it for yourself. Gravity, of course, divides by 3. Where would we be without gravity? Probably lost. ITY equals love, and then the rest you can find this. So the story of gravity all begins with Galileo Galilei. He's a real fun 3-fest with the G's plus 1 in front of the gold train of 3s, just like the word God and Jesus. So this story all begins with the Tower of Pisa. Well, every word divides by 3. There, we just solved the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And you can read that story for yourself. But it comes down to Nicholas Copernicus, very famous man in science, first and last name divided by 3. And he talks about the center of the solar system. That phrase divides by 3. And of course, he fixes everyone's brain regarding the sun being the center. Robert Hooke divides by 3. We solved Isaac Newton before. Copernican theory divides by 3. All right, pressing onwards. This is a fun 3 right here. Very famous problem. That has a very famous story that's loaded with 3s. The 3-body problem. I had never heard of this until I was treasure hunting, and it jumps out at me because 3-body divides by 3, problem divides by 3, the divides by 3. Lo and behold, the year this all comes about divides by 3. And furthermore, it's a king who is celebrating his 60th birthday, and 60 is king for 3, birthday divides by 3. And you can read for yourself what he did. He offered a big prize to a mathematician who could solve the 3-body problem. And lo and behold, who comes along? Oh my goodness, it's Mr. Henry Poincaré, which is love plus half a love in order. Like, this guy's name is so loaded, it's not even funny. So I'm telling you, name your children mathematically, intentionally, to the glory of the Trinity in the name of love, and watch what he does in their lives. And then he comes up with the Sunman series, or that leads to it, and all this leads to another. And he basically, gives the pre-solution to the problem without computers being able to solve it. It involves like 10 separate integrals, and he wins the King's Prize. So that leads us to the Sunman series, apparently, which divides by 3, and you can dig into that story. And then something down here jumped out at me. Oh yeah, equivalence principle. Something related to both words divide by 3. And of course, when you start talking about special relativity and general relativity, relativity divides by 3. And you can start knitting all that together. Okay, so we're going to keep going on because you can tell this is pretty amazing. Wave-particle theory. Well, wave and particle both divide by 3. The Planck constant, very famous constant. Planck is a giant 3-fest. In fact, it's love plus 3. You can easily find love there. There's more good stuff to come here. Oh, the Schrodinger equation. By Erwin Schrodinger, both words divide by 3, and the year that came about divides by 3 as well. And the more you understand Schrodinger's equation, the more 3s will jump out at you like trucks. Then we move into quantum electrodynamics, which divides by 3. Over a cold meal of cereal, studying your quantum electromechanics. Then your quantum chromodynamics divides by 3, QCD equals 24. This is an amazing one because now you're getting into, watch this, this gets simple. I actually started with the quarks, which is all 3s here. But it's got a name, quantum chromodynamics, which divides by 3. And even the abbreviation, this QCD, is 24AAA. But the guy behind it, the chief man, is Murray Gell-Mann. You can read about him. I believe he's Jewish. Every word divides by 3 in his name. Very obvious. Okay. And he's the guy who's most famous for defining quarks, more or less. Quarks is love plus amen, which equals truth. Very obvious, 3-fest. And like I say, every component of his 3-part name divides by 3. And he was the one that proposed that protons and neutrons are composed of 3 more basic particles. These he called quarks. Okay. And even the place where he got the word quarks from comes from a sentence in a novel that divides by 3. Very fascinating. And then apparently there are 6 flavors of quarks. 3 plus 3, of course, up, down, strange. But the whole basic idea is that there's 3 different subparticles. And it's discovered by Mr. 3-fest himself. And quarks is love plus 33, and it's pretty darn obvious. Okay. Okay, onward and forward. Okay. Oh, this is fun. There's a lot of stuff in game theory. So game theory divides by 3, just like set theory and a whole bunch of other words that knit together with theory. Games and strategies, both words divide by 3. But tic-tac-toe, this is one of the oldest games of all time. Tic-tac-toe divides by 3 in 3 words of 3 letters apiece. 3 by 3 grid, of course. It's also called noughts and crosses. Well, by Divine Ordinance, knit together with the word nought with the word cross, it divides by 3. O and X both divide by 3. Very simple. I like this. There's this cool concept called orders of knowledge. This is very fascinating because every word divides by 3. And every word, in fact, divides by 12. First order knowledge is 72, 60, 96. That's my full birth name. Second order knowledge is 12 points less because the word second is 12 points less than first. Just too obvious. And we are after second order knowledge for all of humanity regarding the mind of God. That's the ideal. What is second order knowledge? Not only does everyone in the room know something, but everyone in the room knows that everyone else in the room knows it. So this is so important because if you go to a Christian campus, everyone knows that Jesus Christ is God. And not only that, everyone knows that everyone else knows that there's standards for moralities, there's standards for purity, there's standards for relationships, there's standards for how we treat each other. And so not only does everyone know the knowledge of the truth and morality as declared by Jesus, but everyone knows that everyone else knows, so that all the girls on campus feel safe around all the guys. And you can have what is called people falling in love because they're not freaked out about whether or not the guy knows the truth and has a standard of morality and a proper brain, or if he thinks that his brain is screwed and he thinks we all descended from ape and it's a giant grasping fest and he can grab whatever person he wants. It's terrible, okay? So we are after second order knowledge, okay? You can read about this yourself, okay? So second order knowledge is not only that everyone knows something, but that everyone knows that everyone else knows that something. Okay, that's the kind of common knowledge we're after. That's what I want all my truth to be to the whole world. It's like, okay, we all know that Jesus Christ is God. We all know that the Bible is the truth. We all know that God takes the glory for everything in world history using numbers. And we all know that everyone else knows that. That's the definition of heaven. When we all get to heaven, that's exactly what it's going to be like. But thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So I was very fascinated by these two terms that have a name. First order knowledge and second order knowledge. Both are screaming out 12s to the glory of the Trinity. Okay? So we are after second order knowledge. That is to say, everyone in my country knowing that God is 3 persons, that God is love, and that he takes the glory for everything in world history using numbers. Okay? There you go. I love this. The typical way for a piece of information to become common knowledge, i.e. second order knowledge, is for it to be announced publicly. Exactly. Can't say that enough. We need a real king on this throne. Okay. And then you can study the person who, the roots of this idea, it goes back to David Hume, who in 9 letters divides by 3, and the year divides by 3. And common knowledge as an actual set of letters adds to 13 times 13, which glorifies the number 3, because 13 we've talked about glorifying 3. It's the 6th prime, it's an all factor 3 number, and 13 in text divides by 3. So we want the truth of all my brain and everything in the Bible to be common knowledge to everyone. That's what you call heaven on earth, as close as we can make it. God help us. Okay, onward and forward. Oh yeah, checkers is solved. Checkers divides by 3. This is a famous article because this was one of the first complex games that was completely solved by computational analysis that took 18 years no less. It finished in a year that divides by 3, 2007. It started in the year 1989, which divides by 3, so this is a very fun one. 1989 divides by 3, 2007 divides by 3. It was 18 years of computation. Look at that. 200 computer processors operating continuously for 18 years, both start and end years divide by 3. The final result is that checkers is solved. That's the name of the publication. In 3 words, it divides by 3, starting with C, which is 3. You can read all about it. It's a very famous accomplishment in math and computational science, and it's an ordained 3-fest to the glory of the Triune God. Other games, NIM, a very simple game with numbers. It is an obvious 3-fest, NM, 3 nines, and then I is 9. Well, how does that work? Well, you place a pile of counters on the table, and then you remove counters in 1, 2, or 3 at a time, and the winner is the one who removes the final counter. Well, by divine ordinance, every word in the final counter divides by 3. Pile divides by 3, and you can solve more if you will, but the game is called NIM. Then you can play a reverse version of that, which are referred to as misère. Well, that word divides by 3 in obvious fashion in parallel 3s from the inside out, just like the word Jehovah. SE 24888, IR 27, 3 points higher, 18 in the bookends. There you go. So, I encourage you to play a game of NIM to the glory of the Trinity and hold to the standard rule of removing 1, 2, or 3 stones at max. And there's this concept called MEX, which you can read about, which talks about, it's okay. Then we come to Fibonacci numbers. So let's solve Fibonacci. Well, truth be told, his first name is actually Leonardo. Well, Leonardo divides by 3. So sometimes you have to dig to get your satisfaction. But by divine ordinance, the word Fibonacci in the minds of men knits together with a host of other follow-up words that therefore divide by 3. The most obvious being Fibonacci number. Okay, but go to the roots to get your full juice. So Leonardo is his first name, a nice 3 there. And the whole story behind the discovery of Fibonacci numbers is this beginning point here with Leonardo looking at rabbits, and there's so many 3s in this whole story, it's not even funny. So he posited 6 assumptions. Well, that's 3 plus 3. And he wondered how many rabbits can be made from an initial pair using these 6 assumptions in a full year. Well, it's all over the number 3, because he ended up deciphering that in the 12th month there are exactly 12 times 12 pairs, an obvious 3-fest. And then so that at the end of that 12th month there would be an exact 288 rabbits, which is one of the 5 numbers in the infinite golden loop, glorifying the number 3 and 12 and 24 simultaneous. And so this is the origin of the discovery of the Fibonacci sequence, this whole story. So you dig up the 3s in the story and you get your satisfaction. Of course 3 is a Fibonacci number, along with, you can go nuts on all this all you want. Of course it's abbreviated with F's, which F is in 3 strokes, is 3 plus 3. The whole thing began on 6 posits, which are, axioms, which are 3 plus 3. And on and on and on. Okay, and then you got the Fibonacci spiral. That phrase divides by 3. So Fibonacci number divides by 3. Or no, sorry, the word spiral divides by 3. Fibonacci spiral is plural, but divided by 3. Sometimes you can play around with S's like wild cards. But incidentally, by divine ordinance, there is a new subdivision that just opened here in Langley, which is called Elements, and the logo for it is this exact picture, this Fibonacci spiral. And Elements, of course, comes from Euclid. And it's just, in the sovereignty of God, I call Langley, my birthplace now, Numbers Land. Numbers Land equals 1, 2, 3. And in the sovereignty of God, there are so many housing developments in this town cropping up right now that all divide by 3. Elements, Keaton, Keaton, Yale Block, Yalbloc, and it just keeps getting sillier and sillier. But it's the sovereignty of God before my very eyes. Okay. And then this comes to one of my favorite parts of mathematics, the golden ratio, abbreviated by the Greek word phi. Okay. Graphically, that screams out 3 because of the symmetry and the 3 parts. You got the vertical line and the 2 horizontals, 2 whatever curves, and the 3 sort of parts, the top, the middle, and the bottom. But the golden ratio adds to 153 when you say it. And the story behind it is loaded with threes. Okay. Let's continue on. Now, it should be called the golden ratio. That's the more mathematically pleasing way. Now, this story gets even crazier. So there's elements. Euclid equals love. Bang on the nose. He's basically the most famous mathematician in world history. And it was proposition 6.30. Hello, talk about an obvious three-fest. That's where he talked about the golden ratio. Amazing. Down to the detail. And then it's denoted by the Greek letter phi. Well, phi adds to 33. No less, in 6 strokes and 3 letters. 2 for a P, 3 for an H, in all capitals, and then 1 for an I. And when you say the Greek letter, that divides by 3. Greek letter divides by 3. And no less, that Greek letter phi comes from the sculptor Phidias, which transliteratively, by divine ordinance, is 33 plus 33. Even the year he lived in the history books is 450 BC, a triple of 15s. Okay? And then here we have another guy, Robert Simpson, first and last name, divide by 3, who in 1753, Fibonacci number. So I'm just highlighting things that divide by 3. That's the simple, quick game here. It's very obvious, and it gets really ridiculous. Golden ratio, 57 plus 63, hello, balanced on either side of 60 by 3, adds to holy, equals 120. You can sometimes, or you can call it the golden proportion. Okay, I prefer, so golden proportion and ratio all divided by 3. And then, of course, the classic example is to make the perfect star pentagram using golden ratios. And there's the exact value of golden ratio. And you can solve more threes than that. Okay. And then this is crazy. Then, of course, artists cash in on this revelation. And you've got the Parthenon in Athens, which is one of the most notable examples by divine ordinance. And, oh yeah, Phidias is the guy, 33. He's the guy that capitalizes on this. And the Parthenon divides by 3. And then you've got a guy who comes along and publishes a 3-volume treatise on phi called Divina Proportion, the Divine Proportion, with Leonardo da Vinci. And there's all sorts of 3-fests in that giant story. Okay, so you can see how overwhelmingly awesome this is. And Kepler talks about Pythagoras and the golden ratio being like 2 key. Okay, this is really fun now. Now, where was I doing all this work in this book, highlighting all this? For personal story and glory, I was sitting in a Starbucks, which divides by 3, in a chapters. In Langley, if you come to Langley, the best Starbucks to sit in and chill out, in my opinion, is the one that's connected to the chapters bookstore. And of course, bookstore divides by 3, chapters divides by 3, and Starbucks divides by 3. So I was literally sitting in the Starbucks, which is right next to the chapters. In fact, the two of them are connected, and that's where I was doing this work, just for the glory of the Holy Spirit. And while I was there was a gorgeous little baby, and I got that phrase from the Holy Ghost as I stared at him. There was a mother holding the cutest little baby boy, absolutely adorable, just that precious little age where everything is just, oh my goodness. And I got this gem from the Holy Ghost, little baby, both words divide by 3, but it adds perfectly to love plus love. And then add the word boy, adds 42 to make it 150 perfectly for the number 3. And I got this word from the Holy Ghost. He was fidgeting. He also yawned. And I've solved all these terms that babies do for the number 3 before. Burping divides by 3. Yawning divides by 3. Sleeping. Rolling. And fidgeting. This was a new one that I got that I hadn't thought about with babies before. But he was just he's at that precious little age where all they really do is when you watch them is they just fidget. They're just kind of fidgeting, The eyes are fidgeting, the head is fidgeting, the shoulders and the little elbows and the little legs are just fidgeting. Can't sit still, I'm just fidgeting, little baby. Well, amazingly, fidgeting is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. The first 2 letters divided by 3. It's just gorgeous. It's got 9 plus 9 plus triple 9 plus 6 in fidget to make 51. It's a fun word to say. So then you say the little baby fidgeting. Little baby fidgeting. As you geniusly up to love plus love plus love plus half a love. Add the word the, you get 222 perfectly. Add the word boy, you get 264, triple of 88. So the little baby fidgeting. And then he yawned, and yawn divides by 3. It's all too obvious. In fact, yawn is 63. It's just so obvious, okay. And then crawl divides by 3. Someday he'll crawl. It's like so the crawling baby. It's just, and then he farts. Farting baby divides by 3. Burping baby divides by 3. Puking baby divides by 3. You're just like, yep, here it is. Okay. Fun stuff. Oh boy, I'm just repositioning this camera in my hand. Okay. So puzzles and perplexities. This is cool. So a magic square is probably the earliest instance of recreational mathematics. And talk about an obvious. This one's really fun. By Divine Ordinance, it's known as the low shu. You've got to be kidding me. A 3 by 3 grid of which the 3 columns and rows and diagonals always add to 15, 3 times the third prime. By Divine Ordinance, it's called the low shu. Well, find love in the low shu. It's really obvious. L-O, half a love, the first 2 letters no less, followed by S-H, which is 27 as well. And then you get a U bonus, 21 on top of there. So it's really obvious. And then when you stick the word the in front, perfectly, the is 33. That gets married with the U on the end, which is 21. That adds another love, flanking the love in the center. So the low shu equals love plus love. Perfectly. To the glory of the Trinity. That's what it is. There's the low shu. And folks, this is such a precious gem because it goes back to 2250 BC. Now you know how Jesus takes the glory for everything that came before him and came after him while he was physically on the planet. He's the Triune God. So magic square, both words divided by 3. Magic equals 33. Square equals 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. It's La La Land. No less, the crazy myth story is it's crazy. So it's known as the low shu. It's also known as the yellow river writing, which divides by 3. Disturbingly, that comes from a myth, which is a fun story, but who cares? God is creative and king of imagination. All this 3-fest is all perfect. It involves a turtle, which divides by 3. 3 by 3 squared. There you go. Enough said. I just can't stop. Even in the history books, if you want to be so particular, 2250 BC divides by 3. This is one of my favorites because, I mean, come on. It's called the low shu. The low shu. You just say that, you get happy. And it adds to love plus love perfectly with love at the dead center, 27. The low shu. I mean, just say that, you'll get happy. The low shu. And 15 is God's favorite number and letter to glorify the number 3, O, 3 times the third prime. And that's what this beauty makes in all directions. And by my calculations, how many directions is that? 8. 3 down, 3 across, and 2 diagonals. Tic-tac-toe. Okay, so magic square divides by 3. And then the famous phrase, the same number. That's the whole idea, is that they add up to the same number. Well, add up to in 3 words divides by 3. In fact, it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. The same number in 3 words adds to 111 perfectly. Anything that add up to the same number adds to the famous 192, 8 times 888. So you're just screaming your heads off. Okay. And then when you say add, click, boom, it's like, okay. You get the idea. Same number is 111. And then when you stick the word the in front, it's 144, 12 times 12. Okay. And then so when you say add up to the same number, it equals 15 times 15, 225. And this is all about the number 15, no less. So, precious gem there. The low shu is the only 3 by 3 magic square. Isn't that cool? Now you know why God has been so careful to make sure the low shu equals love plus love so dramatically. It's the only 3 by 3 magic square. So now you're getting satisfied by looking at magic squares. And you want to find out about this emperor, Emperor Yu of China. And you want to travel there. And you want to hear about the turtle in the Yellow River. And you're like, this is ingenious. I need to discover more here. And then you can read about follow-up magic squares by this man, Jur, which divides by 3. And then Richard Schropel, whose names both divide by 3. He calculated that there's this disturbing number of 5 by 5 magic squares. And it's all part of the fun. All right. So now we come on to Mr. Juror. That's one of my favorites. Honestly, that's unforgettable. Memorize that one and pull that one out often because it's so cool. Like this is going back almost over 4,000 years. The low shu equals love plus love. A 3 by 3 grid with the numbers 1 through 9. So the even numbers are all in the corner. 2, 4, 6, 8. The odd numbers form the 5-fold cross in the center. Every row and every column adds to 15 and the diagonals add to 15. By divine ordinance to the glory of the Triune God. That is so beautiful. And it's called the low shu, which equals love plus love. It's over 5,000 years old. That's definitely one of my favorite in all of mathematics, and I believe God would say so too. It's the only 3 by 3 magic square. Don't you just get happy looking at perfection? Okay, And then you can, this is disturbing what this gentleman found, but his name is Albrecht Dürer, no less, in Albrecht Dürer's picture, Melancholia. Well, that publication divides by 3 nicely. He paid tribute to his love of mathematics. And this is a disturbing accomplishment where literally every row and every column adds to 34, including diagonals, plus the 4 quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4, add to 34, and the center 4 divide, add. It's just like, this is too disturbing. Okay, so, so yeah, magic squares are the oldest divides by 3, of all recreational mathematics. There you go. So that's why this low shoe deal is one of my favorites. And then you can go even higher, or different rather. You can have what is called a multiplication magic square. Well, by divine ordinance, the word multiplication divides by 3, just like magic and just like square. So now you got 3 words that divides by 3, and the whole thing is just going through the roof. And so now people are playing around with these numbers that make multiples to make, common results. And so people are having fun with this, and it's just all part of the perfection story. Then you bring along Fermat, a very famous name in mathematics, which is 63. And of course, you can find love in that pretty easily, can you not? You just pop off 9 points. Well, you actually can't pop off the 9, but that's fine. And you can solve all the, so this guy gets a perfect magic cube, which is 5 by 5 by 5. 5 is the third prime, so there's a... Okay, so you're really interested in this magic. Then there's a cool phenomenon called a Knight's Tour, a very famous mathematical chess problem. Well, Knight's Tour divides by 3, and the smallest board where it's possible is 6 by 6. And of course, when a knight moves on a chessboard, it's 1, 2, 3 squares. Literally, it goes 2 across and then 1 up. By my calculations, that's 3. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Knight divides by 3, and a Knight's Tour divides by 3. So this is a famous accomplishment in math and chess. Chess equals love. And then you throw the word magic in front, and you have a magic Knight's Tour, which accomplishes this piece of mathematical beauty whereby the first magic Knight's Tour, and so all this divides by 3. These are official terms, folks. And so the S gets married with the word tour, and there, look at the love. Find love. The famous STO of world history is love connecting the 2 words. And then the word knight, the K, the N, and the T, add to 45 by my calculations. So add the I on top of that, you get love number 2. So in Knight's Tour, we've already found love plus love. And then we have a 15 plus a, oh my goodness. Wow, Knight's Tour is triple love. That just jumped out at me. If you waited this long, you got the goods. So watch this. By the way, I was using this nice fine purple goofy pen while I was doing all this. So look at the 3 loves in Knight's Tour. And now you're going to want to know what this is. And you're going to want to be like, I need to know. I need to see the perfection of God and all this stuff. So chess equals love. But Knight's Tour equals love plus love plus love. And of course, when a knight moves, it moves 3 squares. It goes 1 plus 2 equals 3. And you can go 1 plus 2 equals 3, or you can go 1 plus 2 equals 3. But in my opinion, it's classified as the perfect 3 glorifying piece because, well, knight divides by 3. The root of horse and horsing divides by 3, and horses divides by 3. And rider divides by 3, so a knight rider. I'm just getting more terms relating to the knights and horses. And the famous phrase, knight in shining armor divides by 3. We're having fun now. But it moves in the perfect three squares. I mean, it would be one thing if it just moved forward 3. And I would say, oh, it moves 3. But the fact that it always moves 1 first and then 2, or 2 first and then 1, it just makes it even cooler because it's like 1 plus 2 equals 3. 1, 2, 3, the knight. So so apparently this genius here, this is an example of all the squares that a magic Knight's Tour will hit. Stunning. But back to our letters here. So let's go large here. So look at the love we found. Well, there's the famous STO at the center of the word history. Love is at the center of the word history by divine ordinance to the Triune God who is love. And these are the letters in order. STO. Very famous. Pay huge attention to STO whenever you see them. First 3 letters of stop and all the rest of it. So there's love number 1. And then the K and the N and the T in knight plus the I add to love number 2. Genius. And then this just hit me like a truck because that leaves us with G and H, which is 15, plus a R and a U, which is 18 plus 21. Well, lo and behold, 15 plus 18 plus 21, in order, going up in threes, adds to love perfectly. So in Knight's Tour, you have love plus love plus love. Triple love, which equals the Holy Ghost. I need a chessboard right now, and I need to actually do this physically with my hands and appreciate the pleasure of it. So apparently, follow the yellow brick road here. So the knight goes down here. Then he goes down here. Then he goes up here. Then he goes up here. What is this whole thing doing? The knight is literally moving all over the chessboard to hit every single square on the chessboard only once. And disturbingly, this entire sequence, like, this is crazy. So he hits every square on the chessboard once, and it makes this perfectly symmetrical piece of beauty that we're beholding with our eyes. Actually, no, it's not perfectly symmetrical. It's clearly not. But fascinating nonetheless. But it's called the Knight's Tour. So now but Knight's Tour equals triple love, and chess equals love. Add the word magic, and then you get 33, which is all man. Knight's Tour, a magic Knight's Tour is love plus love plus love plus all man, or name, which therefore is 195. And then you can add the word first in front, and the first magic Knight's Tour, therefore, is just going to add another 105 to what we already had there to make it 300 bang on the nose. Oh my goodness. I just calculated that the first magic Knight's Tour adds to 300 perfectly. That's the full birth name of the man who solved the Poincaré conjecture, which is the third, by divine ordinance, of the 7 millennium problems, which was a problem which was over a century old. In fact, it's 102 years old in the making, and 102 is the first 3-digit number that divides by 3. But the full birth name of the man, Perelman, his last name, his full birth name, Grigori, and his middle name, I forget, Yuga something. His full birth name is 300 bang in the nose. And so the first magic Knight square equals 300. Genius. Discovered in 1848, which divides by 3. And you can dig up gems on William Beverly in his life, and there you go. So on a standard chessboard, he found it, and then people got into computers with all this, and things just got crazier and crazier. That's so cool. A Knight's Tour is triple love, and chess equals love. It is the king of intellectual games, most would say, and now you're even more convinced. Wow. Bonus. Alrighty then, and which brings us to the Cayley table, which divides by 3. I have no idea what that is, but I'm just staring at more 3s, and I'm just getting happy. Yeah, okay. Which brings us to Sudoku, which is an obvious 3 fest. The D and the K make 15, flanking O, which is 15, then you got a U on the left and the right, so 15 plus U on both cases is 36 plus 36. That's the 72. Add the 19 in front, that equals 91, which equals Amen in Hebrew. Glorifies the number 3 because it's a 7-fold set of 13, which glorifies 3. Whew. Okay. Enough. Okay. So there you go. There's, you can read all about this and the Cayley table and all that fun stuff. Okay. Which brings us to the 36 officers problem, all these 3 fast screaming out here, posed by this man, which divides by 3, and a year that divides by 3. So now you're really curious about this, and no less than 36 army officers, both words divides by 3. And then this represents 6 different regiments, 6 different ranks. Regiment plus rank divides by 3, and it forms a 6 by 6 Greco-Latin square. Every term divides by 3. So now you're really excited about discovering this problem and solving it for the glory of the Trinity. And in fact, all Greco-Latin squares. Okay, you can do that for homework and look at the 3s and all these fun things. Okay, onward we go. Like I say, it's a frenzy. Oh, and then you're going to want to solve the 1089 puzzle, which is a triple of 363. Talk about a famous 3 in the story of God. But basically, it's this cool thing where you pick any 3-digit number, and you pull off this funny little basic addition, and you always get the number 1089. And you can kind of fake people out and make them feel like they're whatever. Read all about it. And then, of course, theorem divides by 3. So the 3, 1089, 3, theorem. Okay. So there you go. And conjecture. Okay. So that was fun. We just dug up a ton of 3s. And then Euclid equals love, one of my favorite mathematician names in world history. There you go. Okay. So that was just me ripping through this all. There's so much more in here. This is a great book. Oh, here's an obvious 3-fest piece of geometry. What is that called? Oh, it's called a Fano plane, which equals mathematician. So we should maybe perhaps finish this mathematician divides by 3. In fact, it divides by 9. It's 117. Oh, and that was created by Gino Fano. First and last name both divide by 3. Gino Fano. You got to be kidding me. So here's a giant 3-fest ordained by heaven, created by Gino Fano, Mr. 3-fest himself. It's called the Fano plane, which is 3 points higher than Gino Fano. And the Fano plane equals mathematician. So you're just like, okay, when is all this 3-fest going to stop? The answer is it's never going to stop, because God is eternal and he's glorifying himself. All right, so I just walked us through some basics of this book in less than half an hour. Mathematics 1001. You can solve all the rest. Absolutely everything that matters. There you go. Glory to God.